everything in Krishna consciousness is auspicious and nice and just very nice energy and moods, everything to do with Krishna consciousness. And the cows are very special. They have a very special part. They play a very special part in our tradition of Krishna consciousness. So it's just so nice to be here with the cows and with all of you devotees. So our kirtan chief on my left there, next to Srila Prabhupada, this is Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, and he is going to lead us in some kirtan to start off with, and then we'll say a few words about the cows and life in Krishna consciousness. So I hand over to Ravindra Swarup Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shivati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachahine Nivishesha Shivani Bhaktacharya
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shanyavari Bhaktacharya Tarine.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Glory. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Jaya Radha, Radha Natha, Radha Natha,
Radha Radhanatha, Radha Radhanatha, Radhe. Radha Radhanatha, Radha Radhanatha, Radhe. Jagannath, Jagannath. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahangsa Parivrajakacharyas Tadasasismad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Prem Se Gohos Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Govanath Shamkund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki, Shri Giri Govardhan Ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Go Mata Ki, Shri Go Mata Ki, Shri Go Mata Ki, Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Hare Krishna. is she meant to say something? No? Yes? So yes, well, Hare Krishna everyone. I hope you're not too cold. Anyone who's cold, well, you can come maybe around this side and you'll be sheltered from the draft. But again, devotees, I'm really happy to be here with you all. It's just really nice in such a beautiful place. And for a special program like this, Maranji, are you waiting for something?
I was waiting for you to finish this. Thank you.
Wow, this is really... Thank you, Maranji. Haribol. Yeah, it's really auspicious to be here with the cows. It's just really auspicious. And as I said, if anyone's cold, we got this whole space here where it is warm, subtropical, quite a bit subtropical. So yeah, just pick your chair up and just move across if you're feeling affected by the wind. But what we're going to do, devotees, seeing we're here in this place, by the Goshala, we are going to say something about the cows, of course. And we are going to say something about the cows in the context of the Govardhan Leela. The Govardhan Leela, of course, Govardhan Puja is later in the year, but that doesn't matter. Krishna consciousness is transcendental to such paltry things as time. Are you okay, ladies? Or do you want to come around? You're right. Okay. So let us read a few verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 25, which is titled, Lord Krishna lifts Govardhan Hill. And we will read a few verses. We'll begin with verse 8. 10th canto, chapter 25, we'll begin with verse 8. So, repeat after me, please. Om no Bhagavate Vasudevaya Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so let's read a few verses here then, focusing on the cows. So here we go, verse 8. Sri Shuka Uvacha Itam Magavata Gyapta Mega Nirmukta Bandhana Nanda Gokulam Asarai Pidayam Asur Ojasa, which means Shukadev Goswami said, on Indra's order, the clouds of universal destruction, released untimely from their bonds, went to the cowherd pastures of Nanda Maharaj. There they began to torment the inhabitants by powerfully pouring down torrents of rain upon them. Well, today, of course, the weather's not the best. We can't really control that, of course. But it's not as bad as this, what's being described here. The clouds of universal destruction, pouring down torrents of rain. These are just, very junior relatives, these clouds out here, of these clouds which came to inundate Lord Krishna's Vrindavan area. So let's continue on. Vidyotamana vidyubi stananta stanayit nubi tivraya marud ganayar nuna vavrishur jala sarkara. Propelled by the fearsome wind gods, the clouds blazed with lightning bolts and roared with thunder as they hurled down hailstones. Yes, I think you're all familiar with this story, basically. You know the idea. It was like the ultimate storm. Hailstones, giant hailstones, and the rain was falling like pillars, like columns of water coming down, not just drops, and wind enough to just tear everything apart. So, as the clouds released torrents of rain as thick as massive columns, the earth was submerged in the flood, and high ground could no longer be distinguished from low. The cows and other animals, shivering from the excessive rain and wind, and the cowherd men and ladies, pained by the cold, all approached Lord Govinda for shelter. Lord Govinda means Lord Krishna. I know they have here at some time of the year Govinda prayers, right, isn't it? I've heard about that. So, but I've heard often the people don't understand who is this Govinda who's being worshipped during that festival. But actually, Govinda is Lord Krishna, and we'll explain that shortly. But for the time being, another verse or two. Trembling from the distress brought about by the severe rainfall, and trying to cover their heads and their calves with their own bodies, the cows approached the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then the cowherd people approach Krishna and they speak as follows. Listen to this. It's a really beautiful verse. Krishna, Krishna Mahabhaga, Tvannatham Gokulam Prabho, Tratum Arhasi Devana, Kupitad Bhakta Vatsala. The cowherd men and women addressed the Lord. Krishna, Krishna, O most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees. please save us also. So this is a special verse, and there's something very special revealed in it. I don't know if you noticed. I'm going to read it again just so you get a chance to try to tune in and understand what is so special about this verse. Krishna, Krishna Mahabhaga, Tvannatham Gokulam Prabho, Tratum Arhasi Devana, Kupitad Bhakta Vatsala. The cowherd men and women addressed the Lord. Krishna, Krishna, O most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees. Please save us also. So, did you catch it? Did you catch it? The interesting point. I mean, it's all interesting, of course, but there's this special point here. Anyone catch it? You look intelligent. Did you catch it? What was the point? Okay. Sort of, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's there. But the special thing is that the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the Brijbasis, the family members of Lord Krishna, here they are, they're caught in this devastating storm. It's just something like we've never experienced before. And it looks like everything and everyone and every living entity is just going to be sort of wiped out, and that'll just be the end. So they pray to the Lord. This is good. In the 1970s, one of our devotees, he was an expert debater. His name is Hari Krishna Das. So Hari Krishna Das was challenged to a debate by the chairperson of the British Atheist Society, the Atheist Society of all of England, top atheist. So they had a debate. But our devotee, Hari Krishna Das, he was so incredibly expert. He just bewildered the lady. It was the lady, the president of the Atheist Society, just with logic. And he didn't even mention the word God. Just logic. And this lady, the president of the British Atheist Society, she became so disturbed and she couldn't handle it. So suddenly she just shouted out, "Oh God!" And she's the president of the Atheist Society. So, it's like when you push anyone hard enough, then it reaches a point they just, "Oh God." Yeah. So the devotees of Vrindavan, they take shelter of Krishna in good times, in bad times, just any time. They're just always thinking of Krishna and praying to believable storm. They prayed to Krishna. They prayed to Krishna. But what they did, I think, let me read the translation again. So they said, they addressed the Lord, "Krishna, Krishna, O most fortunate one, please deliver the cows." Indra, wrath meaning anger, from the anger of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees. Please save us also. So the point is that I was trying to get at, and I was hoping some of you'd be tuned in enough, I think you'll get it now, is that they pray to Krishna first, please deliver the cows. And then they say, while you're at it, Krishna, please save us also. In other words, their affection for the cows, which is a reflection of Krishna's affection, is so deep that they're more concerned about the cows than they are about themselves. So they do not say, save us, Krishna, save us, save our lives, and save the cows too. No, they say, please save the cows, and please save us also. So this is very interesting. It's really very interesting that in Krishna conscious culture, the cows are of extreme importance. There's a prayer, famous prayer which we chant at the end of fire sacrifices. I'm sure you've heard it. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. Yeah. So, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, it means, Namo, we offer our namaskars, we offer our respects, Brahmanya Devaya, to the Lord of the Brahmins. That's Krishna. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go means the cows. Brahmana is the Brahmins, the devotees. Hitaya Cha. Hitaya means to protect. So Srila Prabhupada, in explaining this verse, he makes the point that here, when whoever composed the prayer, he's appealing that protection would be there. The Lord will protect the cows and the Brahmins, but Prabhupada emphasizes, and it's just there in the way the verse is structured, go Brahmana, first of all the cows, then the devotees. Hitaya Cha, please protect. So that's another example just to show us how important the cows are. The cows are of just fantastic importance for a number of reasons. The first reason is because Krishna is very fond of them. And they are very fond of Krishna. I remember, some of you would remember, some of you have been around for long enough. You remember Cato Ridge. I'm sure some of you were there. You were never there. Or you were there. Yeah, Cato Ridge. We had about 30, something like 30 or even up to 35 cows and bullocks. Yes, and they would go walking around. We had a whole big farm, 50 hectare. So they'd go out for the day and come back in the later afternoon or so into this compound, fenced-in area, sort of like what we see in front of us here. And they just sort of, hang around together and socialize, cow style. They just spend time together. And we would go in amongst these 30 to 35 cows and bullocks and just move around amongst them. And, of course, each animal had her or his own personality, you could say that. But some of them, a few of them, there was one black Frisian cow, female, black one. And whenever I would go in there, she would, moving around here and there amongst the animals, she would come up behind me and I'd feel this sort of bump from behind, this sort of, and she's pushing me from behind, and pushing me means she wants a banana. So, but the thing is, the thing was, she was really affectionate. Nowadays, of course, people, particularly the European people, but it's also there to some degree in the Indian society in South Africa, and it's more and more in some cities in India, for that matter. They have dogs. They have dogs, and I mean, you know all about it. When our devotees would go on book distribution in Haribol. Is it Lord Indra? No, okay. Trying to create some trouble. Yeah, they'd go door to door, like around Chatsworth, around Phoenix, around Merebank, all these, the Indian areas. And there were so many dogs. It's called, we call it door-to-door book distribution. They would call it dog-to-dog book distribution. But, these dogs, they're not so useful. If you're on the right side of them, they're affectionate. Yeah, like if you're the owner or the family of the owner, then they'll be nice to you. But if you're someone else, I tell you what, they will bark at you and, of course you may not have spent so much time with cows, but did you ever find a cow which barked at you or something? Not really. Maybe one would moo at you. But at least if cows are nicely looked after and not just treated like they're just products or, something saleable, but if you really look after the cows nicely, they become very affectionate. And they're much more useful than dogs. I mean, dogs, they chase people away a lot. But tell me, devotees, did you ever drink dog's milk? No, me neither. They produce milk. But you don't find it being sold in Pick and Pay or even, ShopRite. But the cows, if you treat them nicely and not just in some impersonal way, then the dogs, you develop the cows, if you treat them nicely and not just in some impersonal way, then you develop relationships with them. Yeah, and they're affectionate, they reciprocate, they learn their names. You can call them by name and they come, the particular one. Yeah, they're not just, sort of stupid animals and you just they got nothing to do with us. But they have to be treated nicely, and this is how it was in those. And there were different groups of cows in terms of color and size and like that, and physical features even. And in the late afternoon, when they were getting ready to return back to Nandagram, on top of the hill where the palace of Nanda Maharaj was, and the whole village or the whole town was, Krishna would go to a place, it's called Tirkadamba. Maybe some of you have been there to Tirkadamba. It's one of the beautiful places in the greater Vrindavan area. And Krishna would go there, and he would call the cows, the different groups of cows. And he knew them all by name. He'd call for them all by name. So there were the white ones. We got a few of their descendants here. There were the white ones. There were the black ones. There were the brown ones. There were the brown and white ones. There was even a group. They were called Mridanga Mukhi. Mridanga, Mridanga, our drum. And Mukh means face. They had faces shaped like mridangas. These drums, we got one here. Yeah, and Krishna would call them. And then he'd call within the different groups, he'd call particular individuals. And he would call, for example, "Oh, Davali." And Davali would respond, "Moo." "Oh, Tariki, moo." Yeah, it was really nice. It was really personal. And they wouldn't just sort of grunt, just "Moo." They would actually respond, "Moo," like that. And Srila Prabhupada comments on this. Krishna calling and the cows responding, and Krishna calling, the cows responding. And Srila Prabhupada comments, and Prabhupada says, this was, for the cows, this was Sankirtan. This was Sankirtan, meaning the chanting of the holy names. That Krishna would call out a name, they'd respond. So that responsive back and forth, chanting. And then they'd go. When they'd all gathered, they'd then go up to Nandagram. And there are very beautiful paintings of this, the gathering of Krishna with the different groups of cows under this Kadamba, Tir Kadamba, this big Kadamba tree. Beautiful paintings of the gathering of Krishna with the cows. It's really nice. So Krishna is not anti-dog. Krishna's not anti-dog. In fact, if you read like Radha Krishna Ganadesh Dipika, is a famous book by Srila Rupa Goswami, listing out the main associates of Krishna. And there, Rupa Goswami explains Krishna has 2 dogs. And I can't remember the names offhand, forgive me for that. I should look them up. But Krishna has 2 dogs, so he's not anti-dog, but he's much more pro-cow than the dogs. I mean, he's not like he doesn't care about the dogs. He cares about all living entities. He even cares about the cockroaches and the ants and the little unicellular entities. He cares about everyone. But particularly Krishna cares about the cows. And it's because of the relationship. It's because of the relationship. It's not just because he just happens to like cows. It's because of the relationships he has with the cows. Very beautiful, very deep, loving relationships, at least amongst the animals. Of all the animals, the cows are the dearest to Krishna. And therefore Krishna's famous 2 names in this regard. Govinda, we mentioned. Govinda, go meaning cow or cows, and Vinda or Inda, meaning the Lord, the Master. He's the master of the cows. And Gopala, Pala meaning protector. He's the protector of the cows. So you know what it's like today. I remember when I first arrived in South Africa in 1980, January, I would ask sometimes, we were mainly interacting with Hindu people, and I would ask, are you vegetarian? The majority were not. But anyway, do you eat beef? Do you eat cow? And the majority would say, no, 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 we don't do that. But nowadays, well, you know, the times have changed. And even a lot of people from Hindu backgrounds, they eat cow. And it's not nice. And what to speak about just the population in general, for whom the question has never arisen, ever, to eat cows or not. So the cows are very dear to Krishna. And if we look after the cows, if we're nice to the cows, Krishna will be pleased with us. Of course, there are many things which please Krishna. Chanting his names pleases him greatly. Telling people about him, cooking food and offering it to him. All these things, of course, they please Krishna. And protecting the cows, looking after the cows, that really pleases Krishna a lot, tremendously. So therefore Prabhupada liked it when the devotees would start projects like this. A Goshala, a place with cows, where not just a place with cows, but where cows are protected and looked after. And even after for the females, even after they've reached the point where they can't really reproduce further, and therefore they don't really produce milk further. You know, that's how it works in the dairy industry, in the whole world, practically. I mean, not so much India, but it's also going on there in India to some degree. As soon as the females reach that age where they can't really produce milk sufficiently to be economically viable units, they're just sent to the slaughterhouse. And that sort of society, Krishna is not happy with them. And as a result of that, they're not going to get a lot of mercy from the Lord. They're really not going to get a lot of mercy. And indeed, they're actually going to get some bad reactions from the Lord. Krishna is really offended when his devotees and or the cows are offended. Krishna really becomes offended. So Prabhupada was always happy when devotees started projects like this. And 2 weeks ago, we were at a somewhat similar, smaller project. I mean, it was nice, but it was a lot smaller. Just by Verulam. And they had just 2 animals. Here I see there's several. It's really nice to see devotees getting themselves together to develop these projects rather than just coming to people like me and saying, why don't you get a farm? Yeah, okay. Why don't we just get a farm? But it's good to see the devotees come forward and embrace these important principles in Krishna consciousness and apply them by, in this case, and where we were the other day also, by starting their own Goshala. It's nice, and Krishna will be very, very pleased. So you all know the story of the Govardhan Leela. You all know that story. The terrible storm came, and we're just reading about how it began. And then Krishna, seeing that the cows and the people were just terribly afflicted by this unbelievable storm, Krishna lifted the hill. So that's one of our favorite pastimes. We really like that pastime. So many nice little things that happen from time to time in the course of that pastime. But at the end, well, you know, up until this pastime, Lord Indra was known to be the master of the cows. He was the master. But after this pastime, just as it comes to an end, the cows, having seen that Lord Indra, what he had been trying to do, destroy everything and everyone, including the cows. And the cows saw, he's trying to kill us. So the cows approached Lord Krishna at the end, and they said to Krishna, we want you to become our Govinda, to become our master, to become our Lord. And it was at that time, that Krishna got the name Govinda. Krishna got the name Govinda from the cows themselves. Because in those days, the cows, many of the cows spoke. Just like I see Ganesh Ji has come in and somebody else is there, and Hanuman also. Oh, it's Radha and Krishna. Oh, look at that, yeah. And Hanuman's a monkey. And I'm sure you're aware, some people, when they try to belittle Hinduism, they say, oh, Hindus worship a monkey. Ha, ha, ha. Have you ever heard that? It happens. He is not an ordinary monkey. He's not like one of today's monkeys. Hanuman speaks. And not only speaks, he speaks in Sanskrit, not kitchen Hindi, as some of us here may speak, some sort of version of something connected with Hindi. But he speaks Sanskrit. Oh my gosh, he's a monkey. And the cows spoke to Krishna and said, will you please become our master? And Krishna agreed. Yes. So it's interesting. Srila Jiva Goswami, in his commentary on Brahma Samhita, one of our books, very beautiful and amazing book, which we have printed. Jiva Goswami, in his commentary, he talks about the cows of Krishna. The cows, the Surabhi cows, who were the cows that Krishna was interacting with when he was on this planet 5,000 years ago. Srila Jiva Goswami says, those cows, they were all liberated souls who descended to this world with Krishna just to give their mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. Yeah. And these cows here, they're descendants. They've lost their capacity to speak. They've lost their capacity. But they're still persons. And like I said, if we learn to interact with them nicely, in friendly ways, sometimes they have difficulty accepting that, people are going to be nice to them because they're so used to people not being nice to them. But if you're nice to them consistently for a period of time, then you'll find they start manifesting affection. And they come to know you. And they like to spend time with you. Yeah. So these are some thoughts here. Krishna saved the cows. Krishna saved everyone in the Govardhan Leela. There was this massive storm, but at the end, Indra came to see, is everything destroyed? Has my plan been successful? He came to see, hoping to see dead bodies and buildings just smashed and dead animals and just floods and total disaster scene. But when he came, just after Krishna had put the hill back down and when the storm had finished, Lord Indra saw everything was normal. There were no floods. There were not even puddles. And there were no dead bodies at all. Rather, the animals were happy, the people were happy. There were no smashed buildings. Everything was as usual. And then Indra understood, whoops, made a mistake there. I did something wrong. Anyway, that's a long story. We'll tell you at Govardhan Puja time. But the thing is this, that it's really nice that cow protection's going on. It's just really nice. And we sincerely hope that the cows and bulls and bullocks are not being sold. I don't know how the whole thing works, frankly, here. But I certainly hope that none of the animals get sold at all, because that's a no-no. The cows should be allowed, after they've finished their milk giving, that period of their lives, they should be allowed to just relax and live their lives out. You know, that milk producing business, it's something like, you know, of course, mothers, human being mothers, produce milk for their children. And how would it be, mothers, if, you know, by the time you reach that point in your life, as ladies do, where those sorts of functions don't happen any longer, then they send you off to the slaughterhouse. I don't think it'd be so nice. Yeah. It's so horrible. It's incredibly horrible, actually. And in some parts of the world, we haven't got it together here yet, but I'm sure it will come. In some parts of the world, like in England, at Bhaktivedanta Manor, just outside London, the devotees keep cows, and the cows produce milk, and the devotees sell the milk. It's called ahimsa milk, non-violent milk. And of course, because they don't kill the cows and all that, it costs more. And they charge more. I think it's about 3 times more. But people who are intelligent enough and Krishna conscious enough, they come and they buy it, even though it's 3 or 4 times more than what you get in the shop. They come and buy it because they know it's ahimsa milk. It's not produced with any violence, but it's produced with love, by the cows and love for the cows. And you know, I don't know if any of you have been brought up with cows, but normally, in most cases, when the cow gives birth, then she produces milk. And then after about, several months or 9 months or maybe up to a year, when the calf has now grown up to some degree and is, completely separated from the mother, then the cows normally, they stop giving milk after about a year, or a little less than a year. But we have cows in some of our farms. They have not given birth for several years, but they're still producing milk because of the loving relationships between them and the devotees. After several years, they're still giving like 15, 20 liters a day of milk because of the affection which is there. So there you go, devotees, some thoughts on the cows and the value, the importance of looking after the cows and developing relationships with the cows. Hare Krishna. Shri Gomata Ke. Shri Gomata Ke. Go Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, for that very enlightening.
No.
No. So I'm tempted, very tempted. Up until the lockdown, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj used to come every year to Tonga, do the 10 campaign program, and then we also started the Rati Yatra. And somehow this little, very dangerous, invisible COVID bugger came around. And we stopped that, okay? This is an opportunity. His Holiness Patasarati Das Goswami Maharaj started it. That we stand up, put our hands up in the air and glorify Krishna. So let us all stand up while Maharaj sits, because this is we glorifying the message now. So for this round, everybody say, with hands up in your air, hands up in the air, everybody, thank you, and say, hi, okay, what was it? Govinda!
Govinda!
Was that a bit better, Maharaj?
Little bit.
Okay, you've got to do better than this, right? So let me show you who chanted louder. Mataji is only you. Haribo! Now say, Govinda! Prabhus, you said, Govinda!
Govinda!
What was that, Maharaj?
I thought the men did quite well.
Yes, for the first time.
That
For
they're,
the first time, being in Krishna consciousness, the men actually beat the ladies. Are you taking it? No. Ladies again. Govinda! Prabhu's Govinda!
Govinda!
How was that, Maharaj?
I thought the men did well, but the ladies did nicely too. But
What are you going to do about that, ladies? This is your last chance, right? Govinda! Prabhu's Govinda!
Govinda! Oh, the men won hands down.
Men won hands down. So now we have to do this. I'm remembering the great leader of the 10 campaign programs who started it. He said when they chant, in the early days, when they chanted Hare Krishna and they did this Hare Krishna, it felt like the tent was flying. Let's see if we can do it today in front of the Go Matas, okay? So you're going to go Hare Krishna. The Matajis, remember the Prabhus are doing better than you, right? So try and beat them. Maharaj can listen to that. He's like a swan. He can pick it up. So now, you're going to go down and say, Hare Krishna.